Hello everyone, welcome to Course 2, Unit 2, Other ISO Committees and Groups. So in this short unit, we'll try to answer the following questions. So what is a project committee? And more importantly, what is the main difference between a project committee and a technical committee that we talked about in Course 2, Unit 1? We'll also briefly cover and explain what are advisory groups and ad hoc groups within the ISO systems. So as usual, we recommend that you don't skip any steps. Please go through Course 2, Unit 1, which provide the basic information to understand what's a technical committee, a subcommittee, a working group, and what are the differences between these different groups. So that's quite important before we get into project committees, advisory groups, and ad hoc groups. So we encourage you to go through that unit before moving forward. So moving forward within this unit, let's start with our first question. What's a project committee? So you may remember this slide that we introduced in the previous unit, with the exception that now, instead of having a working group under a technical committee, we actually have a working group under a project committee. So what is this project committee and what's the difference? Well, it turns out that there's not much difference between a project committee and a technical committee. Both have a secretariat with a chair and a secretary. Both have committee experts representing their countries and taking key strategic decisions. Both are approved by TMB and work under a well-defined scope. In its working group, if the PC chooses to create a working group, the experts also work in their personal capacity on the technical clause of a document. And this working group will escalate recommendations to the parent project committee for action. So the main difference between a technical committee and a project committee is that the project committee is approved to work on only one document. So when they're done with their work, the PC will get disbanded. A PC may choose to be transformed into a normal technical committee, but the rules apply for the creation of this new TC. So a new proposal must be submitted and be approved by all the ISO members and the TMB. So the normal process applies for transforming this PC into a new technical committee that will have its scope and will be able to take on additional projects if it's relevant to do so. So PCs ultimately are created when a specific project does not fit within the scope of any existing technical committees at ISO. The PC structure is then used and created in order to develop this standard and gets disbanded when the job is done. So that's it for the clarification on project committee. And now we'll dive into our second question. So what are advisory groups at ISO and ad hoc groups? So we come back to our normal structure of TC with the working groups. I mean, this could also apply to a project committee, but let's just get back to the normal, usual technical committee with the working groups under. So sometimes what we'll see is we'll have these different groups having advisory function or ad hoc groups that report back to the parent technical committee. So a group having advisory function may be established by a technical committee, a subcommittee, or a project committee, as we just discussed in the previous slide. And the main goal is to assist the chair and the secretariat in tasks concerning coordination, planning, steering of committee's work, or other specific tasks or that are advisory in nature. So the task allocated to such a group may include, for example, making proposal relating to the drafting of publications, but shall not include preparation of such documents. The documents must be developed in the actual working groups, but it's just these advisory group are allowed to work on preparing the development of such documents. The results that come out of these group is presented in the form of a recommendation to the body that established the group. The recommendation may include proposals for the establishment of a working group or a joint working group for the preparation of publications. Technical committees or subcommittees may establish ad hoc groups, the purpose of which is to often study precisely defined problems on which the group reports to its parent committee at the same meeting or at the latest the following meeting. The membership of an ad hoc group shall be chosen from the delegates that are present at the meeting of the parent committee, supplement if necessary by expert appointed by the technical committee. The parent committee shall also appoint a convener to this ad hoc groups. Ad hoc groups shall be automatically disbanded at the meeting to which it has presented its final report. So we see examples here on this slide of advisory groups and ad hoc groups that can be created under the parent committee. So in this case, under the technical committee, the chairman advisory group is a common group that is created at ISO, and it's an advisory group that, as the name suggests, provides advice to the chairman. So, for example, on the strategic business plan or on different preparations of projects. You see on the slide as well ad hoc groups on communication or stakeholder engagement. So this is just to give you an idea of the different advisory groups and ad hoc groups that can be created and that you may come across during your work within the ISO system. So that's it for this short unit. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some clarification that will help you with your work within the technical committee in the ISO system. So thank you very much, and looking forward to speaking with you in the next unit.